Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Sox on Tap.
Tony, my first reaction is just fuck yes, let's go.
Sox versus Richmond. That's where it all starts. It all starts taking care of business in-house in the Central Division.
That's right, I'm a meatball.
You got to bring that top button swag, baby.
It is always great to beat the Cubs.
And I'm a homer, so I always say they're gonna.
Dallas Keuchel Lamson got some beards that you should be afraid of.
What everybody said when he gets out there, it's me versus the other guy, and I'm going to beat him. So I just love that mentality. It's cool and fucking tough.
Steve, would you say that Tony is mad online?
I would definitely say that.
The White Sox winner.
White Sox fans, welcome into the Sox on Tap post-game show. A very happy Monday edition of the White Sox on Tap post-game show. It's Jonnie and Steve alongside me discussing a 4-2 comeback win over the Astros. Steve, I can't believe it.
Hey, yo, Johnny. I don't know about you, but this win tonight here kind of gave me a little bit of nostalgia. Kind of had those 2020, first half of 2021 White Sox kind of vibes.
It really did, Steve, and we'll get to the specifics of it, but oh my God, when you talk about big wins here, none bigger than this one here tonight, especially given where they are in the standings, what happened around the AL Central today, all of that, and then you're beating the best team in the American League, which, yesterday you and I were on here talking about, a split, and sure, that's still very much possible in the cards here, but this team unable to consistently all year win series opening games, and they do it against the cream of the crop here. You got to feel good about that one.
You're very spot on in your assessment right there, and I love how you threw in a little cream of the crop, Macho Man Randy Savage style right there, Jonathan. Very well done, my friend. That's what it's all about. We talked about this last night, that this team was going up against a higher caliber opponent. Everybody was feeling good, getting a 3-game sweep against the pitiful-ass Detroit Tigers. Detroit still sucks, confirmed. So they were going to have to step it up here for, 7 2/3 innings there. It looked ugly. It looked like same old issues that have plagued this team all season were ultimately going to come back to bite them in the ass. And then, poof, things just turned on a dime, and you love to see it.
Yeah, it really was enthralling, and I love that, our guy Tony on Tap was out there at the ballpark, so I'm really glad that he was able to take in this win. And you know what, Steve, I'm really most happy for Jonnie Cueto, because he has been just giving it his all, and he's been such a rock in this rotation, going, at least 5 innings every single time out, no matter whether that be, all of his starts, and then the one time where he was called upon after Michael Kopech's injury. But especially in the last few, he hasn't gotten the support that he's needed. We were talking about those games against teams that they should have beaten in the Royals and the Rangers previously, and he goes 8 tonight, and it was outstanding, and they were able to reward him then by comprising that rally in the bottom of the 8th inning.
Couple of things here about our boy John Cueto. First and foremost, obviously he made the comments in Kansas City after the game last week, so it was going to be interesting to see how he followed that up, because a lot of times you'll see a player go up, make public comments about their team not having heart, not fighting hard, and then when they are called upon, they go out there and they lay an egg. We saw that a lot with a certain other veteran pitcher on this team earlier on this year, but alas, John Cueto is not a bitch like Dallas Keuchel, because John Cueto has fucking boulders in his fucking pants out there, and he just went out there today and just shoved and said, boys, we're going to get this done tonight. Hop on my back. Let's go. There shouldn't have been any runs scored out there. He went out there against the best team in the American League, and he just laid his nuts on the table.
Exactly, Steve. You paraphrase that beautifully. I can't really add on to that, but I can give you his line here. And it was 8 innings, 6 hits, 2 runs, only 1 earned, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. And when we're talking about this is from the very get-go here. That unearned run comes in the first inning. I know he did give up an earned run in there as well. However, a situation in which Josh Harrison should have had a ball back up the middle, should have been a tailor-made double play ball, and Harrison just missed it. He just missed it, and it was ruled an error, and that led to one of the unearned runs. And Steve, early, we're all thinking, oh boy, here we go again, right?
Yeah, because you're 3 batters into the game and you're already down 1-0. So it's just like, okay, well, here Houston's going to come back, bring this team and the fan base back down to earth after everybody was feeling good over the weekend and wasting no time reverting back to some of the unfortunate tendencies of this team throughout the course of the season here. But, from that moment on, after that first inning, once he gave up the RBI double to Alex Bregman later on there, and it was a 2-0 game, Cueto just shut it down after that. And again, this is still a very potent Houston Astros lineup. I know they were without Jose Altuve in the lineup today. They were without Jeremy Pena, but this is a team that is still more than capable of going out there and scoring a lot of runs. Held down Yordan Alvarez, held down Alex Bregman for the remainder of the evening there. So you just have to tip your cap again to John Cueto. I mean, just let this guy ride the goddamn horse up and down the streets of Chicago later on this evening, doing whatever the hell he wants.
Absolutely, Steve. Our guy Sal in the comments here, he says Cueto has TW. That's the best way to really kind of recap it, because he does. You talked about the guys maybe floundering a little bit after making such public comments about it, but I do think you and I talked about this a little bit on our Sunday Funday show yesterday, and we were discussing, did the Cueto comments work? And we thought, okay, we'll have to see further in, but the initial returns were good and they were able to fight back from some of the things. Well, guess what? They fought back again. They got down today, but they fought back, which is something they have not been able to do for the majority of the season up until just as of late. So obviously Johnny Cueto had to shut it down after that in order to keep that situation alive for them to even have a chance to be able to do that. But I will say, if we can go and continue this, all right, the comments are working so far. So until we're proven otherwise, I'm all in on it. And I think Johnny Cueto did the right thing by making those public statements, whether TLR wants to agree with that or not. So like we saw, like you'd mentioned, him shutting down some of these other potent hitters there. Sure, Alvarez did have an RBI on a sac fly in the first to bring home the first run. But other than that, he goes over 2. You're looking at these other guys here. Yuli Gurriel only 1 for 4. Kyle Tucker 1 for 4. And not a bad night at all for John Cueto. Outstanding, actually, it was. That's what he does. It's nothing new for us here.
And the other thing about it, though, too, was the fact that he was able to go 8 innings here. This team hasn't had an off day since last Monday. Obviously, they had the doubleheader in Kansas City. They don't have another off day here until the 29th of this month. So they are in a very prolonged stretch of games here. So the ability to go out there and save some bullets out of the bullpen, that is huge. That cannot be emphasized enough right now during this pivotal stretch here against quality opponents. So to be able to go out there and just nut up, for lack of a better term, right, and give this team the opportunity to win a game and to save the bullets out of the bullpen. Again, that can't be stressed enough.
Yeah, right. And you got 4 here against this Houston team. And I would imagine that you're going to need it, because we know we're going to get to a big pitching matchup here tomorrow. But that guy that will be on the bump is not notoriously a late game sort of type pitcher, just with the way that he navigates his outs and the way that he gets them. So I agree. Huge in that aspect. And this is nothing to do with him. This is something that he's been doing. Hell, he threw a complete game and picked up the loss in that, loss at Texas to open that series down in Arlington. So, but then he went deep again against Kansas City Royals. And, I had mentioned the stat earlier, going no less than 5 innings in every single one of his outings this year. Just an absolute rock. So enough cannot be said about Johnny Cueto. I really hope someone can capture some video of him roaming around the streets of Chicago horseback tonight. That would be excellent. So, but let's get into a little bit more of it, Steve. Before it was that comeback, which we will get to and emphatically discuss here for the bottom of the 8th, White Sox had some opportunities, and you get situations in the bottom of the 4th, bottom of the 5th, bottom of the 7th, all with possible threats that could come up here in the 4th. Grandal grounds into a double play. In the 5th, you get a kind of maybe botched hit and run scenario between Josh Harrison, Gavin Sheets there, and then the bottom of the 7th, some terrible plate approach there. And this felt like more that so White Sox stuff, Steve.
You're exactly right. And that was one of the things that I tweeted out after that particular 7th inning, because you have runners on first and second and 1 out, and 2 pitches later, the inning's over with 2 soft pop outs. And just like that, you have a scoring opportunity, you have a pitcher on the ropes, and you don't take advantage of it. And we're just sitting there collectively saying, here we go again. This is just, what it is. This is the 2022 White Sox. So that was extremely frustrating there. So you're right. I mean, there definitely were more opportunities to get on the scoreboard earlier in this game, make it a little less dramatic, but ultimately they were able to get it done when it counted.
Yeah, right. We'll talk about it in a second. I have to start prepping the show and get us ready for these broadcasts. And initially I'd like to just put some placeholders down. My title throughout before the 8th inning rolled around was, it was going to be that, let's see, what did I have here? It's better late than never is what we're talking about now. But I said no margin for error. And obviously a couple of those opportunities that we had just discussed, in addition to the Harrison botched possible double play ball in the first inning there, it would have been, things that the Astros take advantage of the White Sox weren't able to. But Steve, enough of that. Let's get to the bottom of the 8th. And it's an interesting situation because still in the game, both starters working late into this one. Urquidy does get the first 2 outs of the bottom of the 8th. And then A.J. Pollock hits a little squibber on the third base line, unable to be handled there at the bag. And that gets him on and then eventually chases starter Urquidy from the game. Montero comes in and he does not record an out because the White Sox put together an onslaught afterward. Vaughn doubles. Eloy doubles to bring home 2. Yaz with the walk, not taking the bat off his shoulders, but it gets the job done because it brings up Moncada, who brings in the game-winning runs, pair of them on an RBI single back up the middle. Steve, when I was watching this, I had every doubt in my mind that it was going to end at every turn, even after they tied it up. Okay, well, they're not going to get the lead runs here, right? I don't know about how you felt about that, but I was so happy to be proven wrong here.
I know initially, so when Andrew Vaughn hits the double down the right field line there, and AJ Pollock again for the second straight day, shuts it down, not running hard. I literally am screaming. I'm saying, what the fuck are you doing? How are you not scoring on that play right there? And I'm just thinking, okay, this is going to come back to bite him in the ass because it almost always does. But then you see Eloy come up there, and he's really done a tremendous job since coming back from the IL, providing this team with some punch in the middle part of this lineup. Gets the big double down the down the left field line there to score 2 runs to ultimately tie the game there. And then the decisions to intentionally walk Jose Abreu and Yaz working himself a walk right there again. I mean, it's fascinating to see. I don't feel like Montero was overly aggressive trying to go after Grandal, which is pretty surprising just given how lackluster he's been offensively this year. And so then that brings up Yoan Moncada. And it's interesting that probably 2 of the most controversial and probably the 2 biggest whipping boys within the White Sox fan base, Yasmani Grandal and Yoan Moncada, are the 2 guys that really helped to extend the inning and ultimately push this thing over the hump tonight.
Yeah, it really was because you had our guy Tony who was there at the ballpark, throwing some heat on Yaz earlier in the game, and he's been deserving of it all year. I'm not going to go and say that he is not deserving of criticism. However, like you said, it's just interesting that those guys are the ones that come up in that situation. But I want to just reverse it back a little bit. I want to talk about Eloy really quick. After the first 2 pitches of that at bat, Steve, I don't know about you, but I was just waiting for a 3-pitch strikeout there. Because it was so inside on the first one, and then the next one I think was a little bit further up, but then he's able to get his hands around on that third one, and that just speaks to how natural of a hitter that this guy is, for him to be able to adjust that. And I believe it was 96 or 97 on that fastball inside that he ended up ripping down the left field line. It's clutch as all hell. So we got to be thankful for that.
Would you go as far as to say it's opportunistic?
It was, Steve. It absolutely was opportunistic there because, like you said, you didn't know after Vaughn had doubled, even because you felt like Pollock should have scored on that, would they even bring at least 1 run around to the plate? The Eloy answered that emphatically on an 0-2 count there. So I just need to give him some props because I was down. I was down on it. I thought that we were going to be looking at a strikeout there and be overly disappointed, but that was not the case, and he made sure of it.
Yeah, it was some interesting pitch sequencing. You would have thought after attacking inside with the 2 fastballs that ideally what we see teams do against Eloy a lot in that circumstance is then go hard slider away. And he has a propensity to chase those balls, especially if they're down outside of the zone.
We saw it earlier in the game.
Exactly. So I don't know if that was just a matter of Montero going away from the scouting report and maybe just being a little too bullheaded, thinking, hey, I just blew a couple of fastballs by this guy. I'm going to do it again. Look, that's the kind of thing that can happen. We've seen that from Lance Lynn plenty of times over the course of the last 2 years here. So, but hey, we'll take it.
We'll absolutely take it. And Steve, it's unbelievable that, the Astros do have such a lockdown pennant overall. They are a very, very good team in relief. And you saw the figures on the broadcast and all of that. However, I like to think that there might have been a little reverse jinx in play there, because once you go and show all of that stuff about how great they are, and then their first reliever that comes into the game, not even able to record an out, any way that we can get it, I'll take it. We need Kane guy there tomorrow, putting the voodoo magic on those Astros again.
Hey, I'm all for it, whatever it takes at this point. I mean, that's what the motto should be for the remainder of the season, whatever it takes.
Yeah, and they did whatever it takes tonight. It was very nice to see this, and it we can go back and circle those comments. It very much embodied the fire that Johnny Cueto was looking for, and they were able to show that. And sure, a couple instances that, maybe things worked out in the way that, sometimes it just goes in your favor, right? The cards fall in your favor. You win the lottery every once in a while, right? Well, maybe that was the case tonight, but however, either way, it's a huge win for the White Sox, and it's going to propel them hopefully into the rest of the series, because Steve, we got a doozy tomorrow night. We've talked about it a little bit on the Sunday Funday show, but it's still in cease. It's Justin Verlander. It's a premier pitching matchup. I'm looking forward to this one, being in attendance with you, man.
This is the type of thing that gets my nads pumping. Probably two of the top three, Cy Young finalists in the American League this year. I think I saw a stat on twatter.com earlier this morning that this is going to be the latest into a season that two pitchers with sub-2 ERAs are scoring off against each other in like 30 some years. So this is a big one tomorrow. And Justin Verlander, you motherfucker, I hate you. I have hated you for over 15 years. I want nothing more than to see the Sox put it on this asshole one more time. They haven't done it a lot since the calendar flipped to 2009. He's been a thorn in their sides. But my God, it would be just so satisfying to see this team go out there, get on him early, because that's what you really have to do against a quality pitcher like him. And if they can do that and just build some positive momentum here, let Dylan Cease pitch with the lead, man, that would be really big tomorrow.
Yeah, that would be a key to victory there, Steve. And I think another thing that backs that up is that Justin Verlander kind of works into his outing, right? When he starts at the 92, the 93, the 94 velo on his fastball, and then by the end of it, he's pumping up into that 97 to 100 range there. So that may be something that the White Sox need to key in on. And when we're talking about just track record here, White Sox have gotten to him early. And like you had mentioned on our show yesterday, they did it with an overly aggressive plate approach, maybe kind of shell shocks Verlander in that outing. I think it was one of his only bad outings of the first half when you're going really looking at his kind of game log there. I don't know if the approach will be exactly the same, and maybe you might be a little bit more prepared for it after seeing it once. However, taking advantage early would still be advantageous for our Southsiders.
Yeah, it would definitely behoove them to get on the board early, try to apply a little bit of pressure to this Astros team. Look, they're a veteran group. They are still the American League still runs through Houston until someone else knocks them off. So they're not going to get flustered. They're not going to get rattled. If they fall behind early, they know that they are a good enough team to be able to come back and win a baseball game, because they can beat just about anybody a variety of different ways. But if you do that, we've seen with this Sox team so often that aside from games like tonight, more frequently than not this season, when they fall behind, they just kind of, shrivel up and die out there. So coming off of a very emotional win like this one here, it would be very important to see them build that momentum early, get on the board, put Justin Verlander in a hole, and then take it from there.
Yeah, and I think another key to this one, if we're talking about how the White Sox are going to be able to win this game on Tuesday night, another key, it goes back to Johnny Cueto tonight, and that is saving the bullpen. So when Dylan Cease, you expect ace level shit like he has provided over the better part of the past 2.5 months, right? But with that, if he does have to go out early because pitch count rides up, because he's striking a lot of guys out, maybe he throws in a couple of walks in there. He is prone to that. That's just the style of pitcher that he is. But you have your Reynaldo Lopez to cover, possibly two if you need it. You have Jake Diekman in a lefty situation if you get some lefties up there, like, say, a Yordan Alvarez, a sweeping slider, possibly against him. You have Kendall Graveman, who did not throw tonight after walking down the game on Sunday afternoon. And I would imagine, since Liam Hendricks did not throw on Sunday, and I know you did go to him tonight, but it was not an overly long inning for him, he would be available as well. That is 4 really good arms there that I like at the back of the bullpen there that can back up Dylan Cease tomorrow.
And you've got Joe Kelly in there as well, who has, in his last 6 or 7 outings been throwing the ball considerably better than he was initially when he first got to this team. So with him actually throwing strikes and getting ahead of guys, it's made a tremendous impact there. So you're right. They really do have that bullpen A squad rested, lined up, and ready to go. And that's why, again, just John Cueto going out there, being able to give this team 24 outs, that can't be magnified enough.
It was huge. It was huge. And you know what? Johnny Cueto deserves all of the praise tonight, and he got the W tonight. I know pitcher wins are not something that we're going to go and use. Obviously, if you go and look at it, he's only 5-5 on the year. However, it is satisfying when you can still are still able to notch that for your guy, because it usually results in a culmination of a number of team aspects, right? And that's just what we wanted results wise for the White Sox all year. And it has been there, but it finally came through tonight. So.
Yeah. When someone like me talks about the devaluing of pitcher wins, and I get into this argument with my dad all the time. I mean, he's 68 years old. So, he still is thinking about baseball, how it was in, the 1960s when he was a kid, when starting pitchers were expected to go 8 innings, 9 innings every time out. And so that's why, to him, the idea of pitcher wins not being valuable is just a foreign concept. But when you have starting pitchers just not working deep into games the way that they did in previous eras, so many things can go wrong afterwards with the specialization of bullpens. So when you have a night like tonight where Cueto is able to go out there and give you 8 innings, that there's value in that. And that shows, again, he put this team in a position to win a baseball game by going out there and getting those 24 pivotal outs and only requiring the bullpen to cover 3 outs. That is huge. That is right there a circumstance where you talk about a pitcher win. Johnny Cueto fucking deserved that tonight.
Yeah, earned it. Absolutely 100%. So, Steve, it was great running down this game with you. I'm glad we're talking about a White Sox winner here. Hopefully one that is able to boost them in the emotional department too, Steve, because I know we're still in regular season here. Nothing will ever match the playoff intensity, right? But there was a little bit more spark in the ballpark. There was a little bit of the roar of the crowd. And our guy Buzz pointed it out on Twitter, and I think that's something that they can really tap into and hopefully use to their advantage moving forward, because I would imagine it's going to be pretty good crowd on hand. I mean, you and I will be at least 2 of them there tomorrow night when we're talking about this big matchup between Cease and Verlander.
Well, and you would think too that with a roster that is largely the same as what it was during 2021, these guys should be pissed off with Houston coming in there, knowing that that was the team that ended their season on their home field last year. So there should be a degree of wanting to get some retribution for that. Obviously, you can't undo what was done in a previous season, but they should use that as a little bit of fuel to go out there and say, hey, you know what? We've been knocked down this year. And this team that is coming in here, they were the ones that ended our season a year ago. Everybody remembers how deflating that 11-1 loss was in Game 4 and the slow death march that it was by about the 4th or 5th inning right there. So that shouldn't be lost on any of them. So this is a team that you want to go out there and you want to beat, because again, the road to the American League pennant goes through Houston until further notice. So no better time than now to springboard this thing and get back on track. You had your little fun over the weekend with a piss poor Detroit Tigers team. You want to show that you're for real. You want to show that you're going to find a way to get back into this thing and that you are serious about contending and getting a hold of this division, even though your back is against the wall, then you got to go out there and you got to beat the best.
I think you put it really well in that nothing can, erase what happened in a past season, but the pride, right? The pride that they were the team that knocked you out. And I think more of for me, I get to and granted, they're probably not headline chasing and watching all the time, but you see it. It's noise out there, right? And it's that, the White Sox can't stack up with the best of these. And so far this season, absolutely right. They haven't given them a reason to. However, you can change that in the matter of 4 days here. You did it on day 1. Let's see how days 2 through 4 shake out.
You're right. We talked about, expectations coming into this series, hoping to get a split. Well, you're halfway there right now. You win this game tomorrow. You got your ace on the mound, your best pitcher. This is a game that, you should be in position to win. Now, obviously, look, you're going up against Houston's best as well. So it's going to be a very difficult matchup. But you get that one tomorrow. You get those 2 games right there. You've already met expectations. Then at that point, it's time to get greedy. So we knew coming into this week, this was going to be a challenging one. And, if you could find some way to go, fucking 5-2 this week, that would go a very long way for this team. They got the first one down here. Let's keep building.
Right. And I think it's important too that, not that you always, you want to be focused on the game in hand there, but when you look forward to that next stretch here, right, you're going to Cleveland for 3. How great would it feel if you came off 3 of 4 against the Astros or something like that? Or hell, God forbid, a 4-game sweep. That would be outstanding. But either way, if you put yourself in that position, you played some really solid baseball. Hopefully clean up some of the stuff that plagued them early in this game tonight for tomorrow and moving forward. Maybe, just to spark the fire that Johnny Cueto was talking about. Maybe that's lit underneath them now after recording a victory like so tonight. You never know. It's a wild thing how those emotions can run and how people can kind of start to click on all cylinders as a unit, right? When you see that energy that's in the ballpark, when you see, how the response is after you win one of those games, when you go and look at the standings and we're only 2 back, right? Because if we're looking around the rest of the AL Central today, Steve, the Guardians split with the piss poor Tigers team. The White Sox are just able to sweep here. The Twins did take care of business tonight, but either way, you're in striking distance. I know they were before, but you even gained a half a game tonight.
Yeah, that's the key at this point here. As the days on the calendar dwindle, you want to be gaining ground, not losing ground. That's what it ultimately comes down to on a day-to-day basis here. So if you can continue to do that, you're going to be in a good spot here. And boy, wouldn't it be something if, like you talked about here, just circling back to this, if Cueto's comments ultimately were the thing that kind of served as the catalyst and, go all ESPN 30 for 30. What if I told you a veteran calling out his team's play and heart ultimately changed the course of a season?
Yeah, dude, and we're setting up for it. Our guy Tony likes to say, it's going to be cinematic. It's a rip, an antithesis of a line from The Sopranos, but you never know. It could be because it's either going to crash and burn and be terrible, and they're going to miss playoffs or whatever, or it's going to be cinematic in their rise to that. And what would spark that? There you go. What would I told you if John Cueto's comments in a 4-game Dog Days of Summer series at Kansas City turned the tide for the 2022 White Sox? I sure as hell hope we're talking about that when it comes towards down the end of September, early October. But that's all we've got for you tonight here on Sox on Tap. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe on Tap Sportsnet on YouTube. Jump in the comment section here, and we can feature them live during the show on tapsportsnet.com. It is a place to go for all your Chicago sports literature and podcasting needs. You can find us on social media at Sox on Tap and at On Tap Sportsnet. All right, Steve, I can't wait to get out there with you tomorrow night. See a premier pitching matchup. Until then, White Sox forever.
Let's fucking go. White Sox for life.